You know that feeling. You're sitting across from someone you love. The restaurant is quiet. The food is getting cold. And you suddenly realize you feel completely, terrifyingly alone. You're hearing them talk, but your brain is already 12 steps ahead, planning your exit, rehearsing your response, replaying something they said last week, wondering if that thing they did last Tuesday meant something, running through every possible way this conversation could go, every outcome, every version of what happens next. And then you catch yourself, and you think, why can't I just be here? Why does my mind never stop? Why does it feel like I'm fighting my own brain just to have a normal conversation with my partner? You scroll through symptoms online. You land on ADHD, and something in you goes, that's it. That explains everything. But here's what nobody talks about. The relationship didn't get harder because you're broken. It got harder because your brain found safety in overthinking, and you confused that with attention deficit. You are not failing at love. You are not incapable of presence. You are not the problem in your relationship. What you're experiencing is one of the most misunderstood patterns in how human brains actually work under stress, and it's not what you think. Today, I'm going to walk you through 8 signs that you have an overactive brain, not an attention deficit, and exactly what changes when you finally understand the difference. Let's get into it. Before we get into the signs, I need to reframe something that changes everything. Most people in relationships believe that their mind won't settle because something is wrong with them, that the solution is discipline, focus, trying harder to be present. But here's the real truth. When your nervous system doesn't feel safe, your brain turns itself into a problem-solving machine, not because it can't focus, but because it's trying to protect you. An overactive brain isn't broken attention, it's hypervigilance dressed up as distraction. Your nervous system is reading your partner before your mind can catch up, scanning for tension, for withdrawal, for the microexpressions that might signal that something is wrong. And when it detects even a hint of uncertainty, it kicks into overdrive. Not because you're anxious, because you're trying to predict what's coming so you can be ready. This is the part that changes everything. Your brain isn't the problem. Your brain is the solution that became the problem. When connection feels safe, your nervous system stands down. The overthinking stops. The presence arrives naturally. When connection feels uncertain, and I'm not talking about whether the relationship is in trouble in some dramatic way, I'm talking about the quiet, daily sense that your partner isn't fully there with you. Your brain cannot rest. It loops, it plans, it runs scenarios. Most couples don't realize this. They think one partner has a focus problem. They think the other is just distracted. They try productivity hacks and calendars and timers. But underneath all of it, underneath the clutter and the scatteredness and the inability to just be, is a nervous system that learned to never stop watching. And once you see that, you stop trying to fix your brain, and you start creating the safety that lets it rest. Number 1, your mind runs during conversations, not between them. Most people in relationships think the problem is that they can't pay attention during conversations, so they try to listen harder, take notes, ask their partner to just be more interesting. But here's what no one explains. Your mind isn't running during the conversation, it's running because the conversation already ended. You're not distracted, you're processing, replaying, trying to decode what your partner meant. And this is where it gets really interesting. Your brain isn't bad at listening. Your brain is compensating for every conversation where you didn't feel heard. So now it runs its own analysis in the background, every time. Her brain is quietly registering, he didn't actually respond to what I said. He's waiting for his turn to talk. Your nervous system learned, if I don't track this myself, it won't get tracked. So it never stops. Disconnecting version. Partner shares something vulnerable. You start formulating your response while they're still talking. You nod, you say, yeah, but inside, you're already 3 exchanges ahead. Connecting version. You notice yourself drifting. You pause. You look at them and say, I want to make sure I actually heard what you just said. Can I repeat it back? And in that one sentence, everything shifts. Something in them is saying, he actually heard me this time. And when that happens, your brain doesn't need to run the analysis anymore. The loop closes.
Number 2, you over-prepare before every hard conversation.
Most people who struggle with overactive brains will literally rehearse conversations with their partner before having them. They plan every sentence, practice tone. You're not over-preparing because you're uncommitted, You're over-preparing because somewhere your nervous system learned that unscripted conversations end badly. That when you go in without a plan, you get blindsided. So your brain does what it always does. It tries to create certainty in an uncertain situation. But here's what nobody explains. When you walk into a conversation armed with a script, you're not protecting yourself, you're protecting against them. Against the version of them that might respond wrong. And that protection is exactly what makes the conversation fail. Because your partner can feel the rehearsed quality. They can feel you performing presence instead of actually being present. Disconnecting version. You sit your partner down. You pull out a list. You say, okay, I have some points. And immediately, your partner tenses. Connecting version. You take a breath. You say, I don't really know how to say this, and I might not say it perfectly, but I need you to know that this matters to me. And in that admission of messiness, safety enters the room. Something in them is saying, she doesn't need me to fix this, she just needs me to stay. Number 3, you feel like you're always carrying something heavy. Most people with overactive brains describe this specific feeling, a low-grade hum of mental load that never fully goes away. Not depression, not burnout, just heaviness. This isn't scattered thinking. This is your nervous system never fully entering rest mode, because somewhere beneath the surface, it's keeping a running list of every emotional debt, every unspoken tension. You're carrying the weight of everything that didn't get processed. And here's the part most couples never figure out. That heaviness isn't inside you, it's in the relationship. Your brain is trying to manage an emotional ledger that never balances. Disconnecting version. Your partner asks how your day was. You say, fine, because the real answer is too complicated. You've been sitting with an undercurrent of tension since Tuesday, and you're hoping it just dissolves. But it doesn't. Connecting version. You say, actually, I've been kind of off since Tuesday, and I didn't know how to bring it up, but can we talk about it? And the moment you name it, something shifts. What moves through them is, I forgot how good it feels to be chosen, to be the person someone actually wants to go to when something is hard. Number 4, you can focus on things that don't require emotional risk, but not on connection. Most people with overactive brains are actually extremely capable of deep focus. At work, on projects, the scatteredness only shows up in moments that require emotional availability. Here's what no one talks about. Your attention isn't broken. Your attention is protecting you. When the emotional stakes are high, your brain starts running scenarios instead of staying in the room. Because high-stakes emotional moments are where you've historically gotten hurt. So your brain says, I'll focus on this task instead. I'll scroll through my phone. And you interpret this as a focus problem, but it's not. It's your nervous system choosing the threat level it can handle. Disconnecting version. Your partner walks in after a hard day. You sense they're upset. Immediately, your brain checks out. Not because you don't care, because you don't feel safe enough to be present with their pain. Connecting version. You notice yourself starting to drift. You pause. You look at them. You say, hey, I'm here. What do you need right now? And you stay in the room, even though it feels uncomfortable at first. Number 5, you confuse mental exhaustion with being present. Most people with overactive brains either feel mentally exhausted and interpret that as proof they tried, or feel like they're never showing up and beat themselves up. The exhaustion you're feeling isn't effort, it's overcompensation. It's your brain trying so hard to track everything that it uses all its capacity and leaves nothing for actual connection. And the guilt you're feeling isn't accurate either. You're not absent because you don't care. You're absent because your nervous system is in survival mode. Disconnecting version. You spend the whole evening with your partner and you're present, meaning you're tracking everything. At the end, you're exhausted. You think, I gave so much, but they felt the managed quality of it. Connecting version. You do less. You breathe more. You say less. And in the spaces you stop filling, real presence enters. You stop managing the moment and start being in it. That's the shift that turns a relationship that feels like a negotiation into one that feels like a refuge. Number 6, your brain defends itself in arguments that haven't even started. Most people with overactive brains notice this. Before a conflict even begins, they're already building a defense. They rehearse their point. They armor up emotionally. Here's what changes everything about how you understand this. Your brain isn't starting the argument early. Your brain is trying to make sure you survive it.
What runs through his mind? If I don't have my points ready, she'll win, and being wrong feels like disappearing. This isn't about winning, it's about not losing yourself. Disconnecting version. Your partner says something that bothers you. Before you can respond, your brain is already selecting its weapons. You're in a competition with them. Connecting version. You notice the defense rising. You pause. You say, I want to respond to this, but I can feel myself building my case, and I don't want to do that. Can you give me a second? And in that moment, you break the cycle. Her nervous system is registering. He's not against me, he's with me. Number 7. You feel like you're faking normal more than you're living it. Most people with overactive brains describe a specific exhaustion that isn't about productivity, it's about performance. The effort of appearing okay. The gap between how you feel inside and what you show. This is specifically about emotional performance in intimate relationships. The exhausting, constant work of convincing everyone that everything is fine. And here's the deeper truth. That gap you're managing is the exact thing that's keeping your relationship from deepening. Because real intimacy doesn't happen between two people who are performing fine. It happens between two people who are willing to be visibly struggling. Disconnecting version. You come home, you paste on a smile, you say, I'm good, and you both end up alone together, performing okayness while the real connection starves. Connecting version. You come home, you say, I'm not okay, and I don't want to talk about it yet, but I wanted you to know. And in that one admission, you give them something real to work with. You give them the chance to be with you in the mess. Number 8. You interpret calm as boredom and tension as love. Most people with overactive brains experience this specific inversion. When their relationship is actually calm and peaceful, it feels wrong. Your nervous system has been activated for so long that it confuses calm with threat, because threat is what it knows. Calm feels like the calm before the storm. And this is why overactive brains destroy good relationships, not by being absent, but by unconsciously creating the tension they feel most alive in. Your brain doesn't know how to want peace. It only knows how to want resolution. And resolution requires a problem. Disconnecting version. Everything is calm, and you start to feel antsy. You pick a fight about something small. You're unconsciously manufacturing tension because the silence feels like disappearing. Connecting version. You notice the urge to create a problem, and instead of following it, you sit with the discomfort of the calm. And you choose to stay in the calm. And in that staying, the relationship deepens. Here's what I want you to take away from all of this. An overactive brain isn't a sign that you're bad at love. It's a sign that you've been managing uncertainty for so long that your nervous system doesn't know how to stand down. And that changes everything about how you approach it. This isn't a checklist. It's an invitation to stop treating your brain like the enemy and start creating the conditions where it can finally actually rest. You need to build safety inside yourself and between you and your partner until your nervous system believes it's okay to stop scanning. Because your attention isn't broken. Your attention has just been waiting for permission to rest. You were never too much for love. You were just carrying too much alone and mistaking the weight for the work. Now go build something worth showing up for.